Hi friends. Congratulations, you're seeing me for like the third time today. I know, you're probably sick of me, but it happens, so get over it. Okay, so talking with my friend, and I just feel like some of these conversations I'm having with her are just conversations that like we silently go through, and that's kind of an aspect, a theme on my page that I talk about a little bit, is that I want to be able to bring some of the conversations that we have in private with ourselves and with our like most vulnerable of supports into the light, because sometimes we don't have the supports, and sometimes we don't even feel safe enough to bring it to a support. And we sit there and we struggle and we spiral in our own mind. And that's something on a little side note that I think is really common for people who've experienced emotional neglect, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, the very invisible abuses and traumas. Because at this point we have gaslit and or learned, conditioned, manipulated ourselves to not feel. So we will fight with ourselves in an intellectual spiral to try to talk ourselves out of a feeling, right? And at the end of the day, like, you can't talk yourself out of a feeling. A feeling is a feeling because it is what it is. It is a sensation. It is in your body. You cannot erase a sensation from occurring or happening. So anyway, this is what I have for you today. Somebody needs to hear this. When you start leveling up in any kind of capacity, whether you're at the very bottom, whether you're at the very top, it doesn't matter where you are. When you start coming into learning something new, wanting to be better, wanting to develop, I think about like Maslow's, like coming into like self-actualization, becoming this new version of yourself. There is a process. Just because you know what version of yourself that you want to obtain does not mean that you come there overnight, right? And of course we know that. Everybody knows that. But this is what I want to remind you. A lot of times, especially I think in my experience, in my clinical experience, in my experience of life, etc., that when you have complex trauma, when you have some of these other intersections, maybe it's a mental health diagnosis, maybe it's autism, maybe it's whatever the case might be, there are going to be independent, unique, individualistic intersections in that process in which you have to combat and or build a bridge over, okay? And when I say that, I mean that your process is unique to you. There's going to be things and tools that you have to learn yourself to be able to get to the other side of that bridge that nobody else can do. But of course, we can look for guidance along the way, right? This is my guidance that potentially might help you. In my experience, I have often come into a new version of myself. Maybe I am developing a new discipline. Maybe I am realizing I'm spending too much money. That's me right now. Maybe I'm realizing I'm not putting enough self-care into my life. That's me right now. Maybe I am realizing that I'm doing better at feeling my feelings and acting in the present moment. However, I'm not always doing the best job that I can to find ways to regulate myself in that moment, right? Those are all things that I, at this present moment, am working on. Those are all things at this present moment that higher version of Emily, new developed higher version of Emily is going to be able to master and obtain and achieve, and she's going to feel damn good about it, right? Because I want to be a person who's able to do those things. However, there's going to be a process for me to achieve that. And in my experience, there is always a phase where I suddenly have a click, little download of this is what I'm doing, right? I am building an awareness. And that awareness is fantastic. I'm glad that it's there, right? Because it helps me to understand what I'm not necessarily doing wrong, because in my belief, we're not doing wrong, we're just learning, right? But the things that I need to create my own unique tools to get over that feat, right? I am getting insight into myself, and into my pattern of behavior, into my thought process, and why I'm not quite at the level to achieve the things that I want to achieve yet, right? And when this awareness comes, A lot of times we start having this experience where we guilt trip ourselves, where we internalize shame, where we internalize self-sabotage and bad behavior and impulsive actions, okay? And this is why I say it's really common with that trauma and complex PTSD, because we're already used to doing that, because somebody has programmed that into us in the beginning. And now, as we're unlearning things, it's a familiar pattern. It is something that we're used to doing. So we are going to naturally try to do it to ourselves as we continue to heal, right? But let me just remind you something, okay? This is the hit, okay? This is the main point of this whole thing. I'm sorry I had to give you context, okay? When you learn a skill, you don't learn just by watching, right? Or even, let me say this, you don't learn just by being told. I have now built an awareness to something, but I still have to practice it. I still have to figure out I still have to deconstruct it. I have to partialize it. I have to understand what steps go into it. I have to understand how I interact with that skill, what things I might need in order to do that skill myself, because the way that I do it might be different than the way that somebody else does it, right? And then I have to try it. And then I have to do it several thousand times, right? Before it's comfortable, before it's familiar, before I can do it confidently. Because maybe I can do it for a while and I'm self-sabotaging, and maybe I can do it for a while and I'm anxious about it, and maybe I can do it a while and I feel better about it, but I'm still not sure. It's the same idea of somebody saying that it takes 30 days to make a habit. It's the same idea as you needing to just start instead of being a perfectionist about it. That's what I'm working on right now too. There is going to be 1,000 reasons for your ego, for your pride, for your insecurity, for your fear to hold you back, because you have been programmed in the society that you live in, as well as the trauma that you have probably endured, to utilize that fear and let it be good reason for you to not. But nothing comes from you not, right? Instead, you are withholding. You are withholding yourself. You are withholding your gift. You are withholding your opportunity. You are withholding yourself from becoming a new version of you. Ride the bike, even if you fall off a couple times. And let yourself know you're gonna need some time to figure out where the pedals are. Okay, love you, say it back.